If someone can tell me how I ended up with a teddy bear sunflower when I don't remember planting any, that would be appreciated. I'm going to have to look back on my old channel to see the videos from the beginning of the season. I may have planted some, but actually the last time I remember planting any was last year, and none came up. So that's kind of weird, but it's a welcome sunflower. I like teddy bear sunflowers. Here is our the latest edition of our strawberry blonde sunflower. Multiple blooms here. And this one's quite pretty here. I wonder if my camera would pick up the color. It's very pretty. And this one over here on the other side turned out to be a strawberry blonde as well. So, yeah, that's the mystery of our little sunflowers. And here, this had a pretty sizable, oh, there's a stink bug, how nice. Ah! I'm going to have to do something about that. Had a pretty sizable baby pumpkin on it. It's a big moose. But I had to take the pumpkin off because it wasn't growing. And now it's doing nothing, so that's okay. And over here, we do have a couple of big mooses that appear to be growing. Well, maybe not. Okay, here it is. Now this one I have questions about. There we go. It was growing. I don't know if it is, so I might have to cut it off in a couple days. And there's one over here that's definitely growing. Well, that's the end of that. The little bunny took a chunk out of it, so next time I get a decent bud out of there, I'm going to have to put a cover over it. I don't see any. Those are the sweet dumpling squashes. I don't see any buds yet, female flowers. But then again, like I said, the bunny has been eating things, so. Thankfully, he doesn't seem to chew on the peppos. He just chews on the maximas. And we do have a lot of peppos. That's a big old bee there. Never mind the yellow leaves. It's already getting down towards the end of the season, and old leaves are starting to drop off. And some of the vines are so full that if a new female flower gets pollinated, they're dropping it. So we now have about 10 to 15, well, 12 to 15 pumpkins out here. This is the oldest one right here. Pretty good size. Still small, but it's still growing. And that is a rival. Like I said, we are not having any luck with maximas this year, between not setting fruit and rabbit attacks on fruit that is set. But I do have some fencing left, so I will cut that bulb off today, and the next one that sets up with a little fence around it. Here's another. There we go. There's another rival. I noticed, I've been looking at some UK gardening sites, and they list, what we list as a peppo here in the US, they list as a maxima. So what I say about that subject may not count all over the world. Just that here there seems to be a very sharp difference in the way they're listed in the catalogs. Alright, and let's try to get some, there we go, eggplants. 1, 2, 3. 3 eggplants growing. We do have, I think, oh, I'm going to have to cut that back. This tomato plant just wants to keep going around everything. bothering the other plants, but that's okay. This is a Mad Hatter pepper, or orchid pepper, whatever you want to call it. We do have some tiny ones, but not where I can get the camera on them. And here we go. There is a green pepper, or a bell pepper, whatever you want to call it. There's about 4 or 5 of them on the plant. And here's my big Beefmaster tomato plant. I keep calling it big beef. Beefmaster. There are about 25 tomatoes on there. The biggest ones, I was watching a guy called Michigan Gardener, and M.I. Gardener on YouTube. And he said to cut the lower leaves off the plant. And since they were pretty much diseased anyway, I did that. I don't see anything yet, but it's supposed to make the tomatoes turn ripe faster. And like I said, it's been several days ago and I don't see anything, but I would sure like for a tomato to turn ripe, especially since it's almost August. Whoops. There we go. Beautiful big tomato there. I think it's over a pound. There's a couple of them like that. They're turning whiter, but they're not ripening. And over here, I don't know about Mexican sour gherkin. It keeps setting fruit and then, well, not setting fruit, it keeps sending female blossoms and then losing them. I think it's because they're so tiny that nothing knows how to pollinate them. But I guess we'll get something eventually. We do have several cucumbers on the way. There we go. There's one of them right here. Where's my hand? I don't know what I'm pointing at here. There. So we'll be able to eat that in a few days. Let's see if we can find any more rivals. There's a rival right there. Now you have to bear with me. I don't know when I'm picking up what the camera's picking up and vice versa. It has quite a sense of humor. But there's one there. Here we go. This is a rival. There we go. And yeah, they're just all over the place out here. We're having very dry weather, but very pleasant temperatures right now. The heat wave from last week never really materialized. It did get very hot a couple of days, but it was not in the hundreds. So we're going to be okay for a few days, except it's going to be very dry, so I'm going to have to keep watering. And next week we have another hot spell. And after that, nice temperatures again. So no real challenges except moisture in the garden. For the weather anyway. And as you can see, it's filled in pretty well. We still have female flowers coming. I'm estimating I'll get maybe 16 to 20 pumpkins by the end of the season out of the rivals. And it's out of 6 or 7 vines. One of the vines isn't doing anything. And here, we'll end on Pikes Peak. Since we started on a sunflower, we'll end on one. Pikes Peak is, I'm guessing, over 8 feet tall now. And the other 2 are actually taller than me. They're about 6 feet tall, so they are growing well. And that one that's growing on its side is actually growing well as well. So, yeah, we're doing okay this week. And I'll stop haranguing you now, and I'll see you next week.